Welcome to Crosstalk Solutions. My name's Chris, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Insty Connect mobile internet router solution. And you can see a whole bunch of different equipment sitting on my desk right here. In this video, we're going to go over what all of this equipment is. We're going to set it up from start to finish so that if you're interested in this solution, you will know how to get it going for yourself. And we are going to take it out on the road and see what kind of speeds we can get. But first, if you haven't already, make sure you click like as well as subscribe to Crosstalk Solutions for 2 to 3 tech videos every single week. And if you're just interested in buying me a beer, there is a link down below to do that as well. This is a mobile internet solution designed for people in RVs. All right, so if you have an RV, if you do a lot of camping, if you're out on the road, if you live out of an RV, or just any sort of mobile exploring type of life, you know that it can be a hassle to get internet at all of these various locations. The Insty Connect solution basically tries to solve that problem by providing multiple different types of antennas, as well as both 4G and 5G modems that you can use with SIM cards. And we're going to talk about all of this stuff as we go through the video. But first, let's talk about what comes with sort of the base package Insty Connect. So what we get here, now this is the 4G version. There is a 5G version that's coming out soon, but I don't believe it's available quite yet. It should be available first quarter 2022. So what you get is essentially this little Wi-Fi router here. This takes an LTE connection from an LTE modem that is also included. So LTE modem into the WAN side of this little router. And then it creates both a wired and wireless network inside your RV. Now it comes with a couple of different power options depending on how you want to power it. Right now I just have a power brick plugged in that goes into the DC input in the front of the device, but it also has this extra power cable here that looks like it has battery leads on this cable. It also comes with a 15-foot extension cable for USB, which is made to connect out to one of the different antennas. Now the base package, which I believe comes with the wireless internet, the SIM card modem, the 15-foot USB cable, which you can buy additional of these cables if you want, as well as the omnidirectional angel wings antenna. This package is $549 out the door. That's what you get. So let's talk about this antenna. Now this is a 3D printed antenna. It's actually really high quality 3D printed. And you see this design here has the antennas out at a 45-degree angle. This is to maximize your LTE signal versus something like your phone where you might not get any sort of signal just standing around. This might be able to pull a signal because of the design. And so when we set this up, you're going to see that the modem essentially just slips right up in here. The SIM card goes in the modem, and then you connect these leads also to the modem. And yeah, we're going to get to all of that, but this is an omnidirectional antenna, meaning that you stick it up and it can sort of have a 360-degree signal to whatever cell tower happens to be closest. If you are really looking to dial it in, they also sell this Binoculars antenna, which is a directional LTE antenna. Now, if you crack these open, it looks like a couple of Yagi antennas in here, but it's actually LPDA antennas. And what you're meant to do is, put this up on a pole on top of your RV or something, and then point it at the cell tower that you want to connect to, and it really sort of just dials in on that cell tower and gets you better speeds than the omnidirectional angel wings antenna. Even though I've gotten about 70 megabits out of this one alone, I have not tested the Binoculars just yet. We will test those when we get out on the road. Another really cool feature of this device is the ability to lock into specific cell towers. So instead of allowing the device to automatically connect to a cell tower that may not have the best speeds that you've seen, you can go into the interface and actually lock onto a specific tower in order to maintain the best speeds that you've seen in whatever given area. So that's really, really cool. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this all set up. And I'm going to be doing this on my PC, but it is actually made to be set up on your phone, right? So a lot of people aren't going to have a PC when they're out at their RV. you pop this thing up, you can actually connect to a setup wireless network through your phone. So to set it up, let's start with the physical setup. The first thing you want to do is plug in some power, and you're also going to want to plug in the USB cable that goes out to the LTE modem. If you already have a SIM card, you can slide the SIM card into slot 1 and just make sure it's an active SIM card. Speaking of SIM cards, you might wonder, hey, what's the best SIM card solution or provider? Typically, you want to go with a major carrier. We at Crosstalk here offer SIM cards, and we use AT&T as the back end of our SIM cards. If you're interested in getting one of Crosstalk's SIM cards, I will have information down below in the description of this video where you can contact us and we will get you a quote. But we only sell unlimited SIM cards. That means they are unlimited bandwidth and they are not throttled at all. So you take the SIM card, you slide it into slot 1 right here, and then we want to connect the USB up to the modem. So we're just going to plug in this USB cable, and again, there is a 15-foot extension. You can buy multiple 15-foot extensions as well, just in case you have to put it way up on a pole on top of your RV and then route it all the way down inside your RV. So you get the USB connected to the top of the modem, you've got your SIM card inserted, and then we want to screw in the antenna. Now I'm going to start off with this Angel Wings omnidirectional antenna, and then when we go on the road to actually test this thing, we will also fire up the Binoculars antenna. Okay, so this just slides up inside the Angel Wings, and then we have a little sort of locking mechanism that sort of clicks everything in place, as well as manages the cables a little bit. There we go, that is clicked into place. And then I'm going to go ahead and put it on this stand, but you know, typically you would want to pole mount this somewhere up as high as possible, you know, on a pole off the top of the RV or something like that. Okay, so let's shift over to my computer where we are going to start the initial setup. But if you're setting this up with your smartphone device, you actually want to connect at this point to the wireless network that is called Insty Connect Setup. So that is a wireless network that you connect to do the initial configuration. You set up your 2.4 and 5 gigahertz SSIDs or your other wireless networks in layman's terms. And then once you're finished with the setup wizard, you disconnect the Insty Connect setup SSID so that it no longer shows up. And all you have left are the standard 2.4 or 5 gigahertz wireless networks. Okay, but we're going to pop over and do this through the wired connection that I have plugged into the first LAN port right here. Okay, so let's get into the initial setup. We can see here, if I say ipconfig/all, we can actually see that I was given an IP address from the Insty Connect router of 192.168.1.184, and then the gateway, the router itself, is at 192.168.1.1. Now, supposedly, to start the setup, you can go to http://my.insty, and that should pull it up. There we go. So here is the wizard, right? And the wizard says, "Welcome to Insty Connect. Before we begin, we need to configure a couple basic options, blah, blah, blah." Okay, so in order to get to this wizard, however, if the http://my.insty, INSTY, does not work like it did on mine, you can go to http:// then the IP address of the router, which is 192.168.1.1. So either of those should work fine. So here's the my.insty, and again, if I do http://192.168.1.1, I should get to the exact same page, and it will start the wizard here. Okay, so click here to run the setup wizard. We're going to click right there. Create your Insty Connect router password. So this is the password that is used to log on to the Insty Connect router if you ever need to make changes. I'm going to do a super simple password. Your password should be a nice, strong, secure password, not what I'm doing here, which is 123456789. As you can see, my password is very weak, but I'm just setting this up as an example for testing. So we'll say 123456789 to verify the password, and we will click Save. Once you've done that, we now want to set up our 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz wireless networks. Now look what they did here. This is actually pretty smart. So the 2.4 gigahertz is considered the long-range Wi-Fi, and the 5 gigahertz network is considered the high-speed Wi-Fi. So when it comes to bands of wireless, 2.4 gigahertz is considered long range because it does go longer. It also has better obstacle penetration. For instance, if you have the wireless device inside your RV, 2.4 gigahertz is going to get that wireless signal outside your RV a lot better than the 5 gigahertz network will, but it's slower. So you have the 5 gigahertz network, which can get you greater speeds, but not as much sort of obstacle penetration or long range. Then you have the 2.4 gigahertz network, which gets you longer range, but not as fast speeds as 5 gigahertz. I'm sure that's clear as mud, but regardless, let's go ahead and set our Wi-Fi passwords for both of these networks. Again, I'm just going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 to make it easy on myself, and we're going to click Save. Once it saves that setting, it now comes to this page where it says New SIM card found, and it's already showing some of my SIM signal strength, although it is currently on 3G. So let's go ahead and set up the SIM card. We're going to say click here to set up the new provider profile. Give the SIM card a name. We're going to call this Crosstalk AT&T SIM. And then the cellular provider is AT&T. And you can see the list of options down here: Verizon, AT&T, Google Fi, Visible, T-Mobile, Sprint, or other. So we're going to choose AT&T since Crosstalk provides AT&T SIM cards. And then we are going to click Save. All right, after we saved, it says reconnecting modem. Please connect the modem module to the router. Now this has already been done. It is still set up right over here next to me. It just takes a second for it to recognize everything and for everything to come together. But here we go, initializing cellular connection. Please wait. There we go. FirstNet LTE has connected at 100% signal strength. We can see we are registered to the tower, etc., all of the fun stuff right down below. Now if we scroll down, we can see a whole bunch of different things here, including the Tower Band Lock Wizard, Insty Secure VPN service, and all this other stuff. We're going to go over some of this, not all of it, but you can also see there's a speed test down here for speedtest.net. I'm going to open that up actually in a separate browser window. And we can see we are on AT&T Internet. Let's go ahead and run a speed test just from inside my office here. Now this is going through the wall right out to whatever the cell tower it's connected to is. But we're going to run this speed test now. All right, and they're using the Angel Wings antenna with zero optimization whatsoever, just taking all of the default settings in the Insty Connect. We are at about 55 megabit download and about 17.5 megabits upload. So that's actually pretty good. And keep in mind that we just went from no internet whatsoever to 55 megabit download in about 10 minutes, right? So that's really, really cool. All right, so back at the dashboard of the Insty Connect, let's look at the tower/band lock wizard. Now, what this is showing us are all of the various local towers that have been detected, as well as the bands that those towers offer. Now, this gets a little bit complicated in terms of the wireless terminology and stuff that we're using, but just know that you're going to want to connect to one of these RSRQ and RSRP connections that is all green. So for instance, if I scroll down, I can see all of these different towers and all of these different bands that those towers provide. Some of these are really bad, right? These are ones that I would not want to connect to. In my case, the one that I want to connect to is right here, this tower, and then any one of these bands. So I'm just going to take the automatic settings because that is what has already been chosen by the Insty Connect router. But just know that you have this option. You can select various available bands. You can lock to specific bands so that if the system detects any sort of changes, you're not changing which cell tower or which band you're actually connected to. You can lock that in for the best possible settings. All right, going back into the router configuration, one of the first things that you're going to want to do when you get your Insty Connect up and running with an internet connection is go ahead and run a software update. So just click software update. It'll take about 2 or 3 minutes and then it will be completed. I've already done that for this one, so I'm not going to run through it in this video, but just be aware that you are going to want to be on the latest software once you get your device. You can launch the Wi-Fi wizard to go through the Wi-Fi setup again. We can click Current LTE SIM Profile to take a look at the SIM card that we have installed. So there you can see the stuff that we already set up as part of the initial setup wizard, but if you need to change anything, that's where you can change it. You can go into the advanced configuration, which has a ton of additional settings, stuff that's way beyond the scope of this video itself. But you can configure so much stuff in the back-end router. And then finally, we have the Finish Wizard and Remove the Open Wi-Fi Network. So as you recall, when we first connected, usually people are doing this with their smartphone device or like an iPad or something. You connect to that Insty Connect setup wireless network. This will remove that wireless network. So let's go ahead and click it. So this will remove the Wi-Fi network Insty setup from your router. We suggest disconnecting it and then connecting through one of the networks that you set up. That was either the long range or the high speed networks that we set up as we went through the wizard. So we're going to go ahead and run the Finish Wizard and remove the open network. Okay, so there we have it. We have successfully set up the Insty Connect, and keep in mind, if you're in an area where the omnidirectional antenna isn't getting you the speeds that you want, they also offer, I think it's $250 for this Binoculars antenna that allows you to stick this up, find the closest cell tower from a website such as cellmapper.com, and basically point this directly at the cell tower, and it will really dial in that connection. We are going to test this on the road. So that's the next thing that we're going to do, is find a good time to get out on the road to test the Insty Connect as if I had my own RV and I was using it from the RV. All right, we will see you guys on the road. Currently off the side of Interstate 5 here in Oregon. As you can tell behind me, it is quite cold out here. There is snow absolutely everywhere. We're going to test out this Insty Connect and see what kind of speeds we can get. Now, I'm actually relatively close to an LTE tower, so we're going to try the Angel Wings antenna first, then we're going to try the Binoculars antenna, but first let's take a look at how I have everything set up. All right, so here we go, very simple. I have my EcoFlow Delta battery right here. This is using AC power to power up the modem right here, which you can see does have a red light. It is currently on. So power goes in there. Here's the 2.4 and 5 gigahertz wireless coming out of these antennas. And then this USB cable right here is going up to the Angel Wings antenna right there. And the LTE tower is actually on the other side of the highway, sort of behind these trees here. You can't really see it, but it is over there. Now, I did run a speed test from this location with just my phone only connected to LTE. That's an iPhone 13 connected to LTE. And I got about 4.7 megabits up and down from this exact spot. All right, so whenever I do a test like this, and especially when I'm out on the road testing new equipment, I always want to make sure that I'm doing the most realistic test possible. That means you take the good with the bad. Regarding this Insty Connect, so far I have had nothing but trouble getting this up and running. Back in my office, it worked perfectly. I didn't have a single problem with this device. But now, out here, again, maybe it's due to the cold, I don't know, but I'm having a lot of trouble getting the device to recognize the SIM card. And then once it has recognized the SIM card, I can connect to the wireless network, but I am unable to get internet access. So I'm actually at a point now where it doesn't look like it's seeing the SIM card at all. As you can see on my screen here, let me try to do a refresh. Yeah, so it doesn't look like it's seeing the SIM card at all. So again, I don't know if this is a SIM card problem or an Insty Connect modem problem or who knows what, but I'm at the point now where I am about to factory reset this device and just basically do a complete setup from scratch one more time. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to click Advanced Config. We're going to log in, and then it's under System and Backup / Flash Firmware. We can do a Perform Reset and click OK. So now this is basically erasing the config. I'm gonna have to disconnect from the wireless and reconnect to that Insty Connect setup wireless network. All right, so now we're back at the point where I have the Insty Connect setup network. We're gonna click on that and we're gonna say connect. All right, we're connected. Let's go to 192.168.1.1 and let's run the setup wizard. Give it a password. Okay, and we're gonna change our two networks here and save. Now I do have a persistent ping going and it looks like I'm getting internet now. I'm not sure why I wasn't previously. Let's see what it says for my SIM card. New SIM card found. Click here to set up the provider profile. We're gonna call this Crosstalk AT&T SIM card. We're gonna choose AT&T and hit save. Now, once you make changes to the modem, it does take about 1 minute to 2 minutes to actually sort of initialize and connect out to the LTE network. You might see some 3G connectivity in the meantime, but what you're looking for is for the status to say something related to LTE once it's connected. There we go. So now it says FirstNet LTE, and we can see the antenna stuff. Let's see if I'm getting a ping now. Okay, so I am getting a ping. That is actually really good. Okay, so again, I don't know why I just had to factory reset this device in order to get it to work. But it worked fine in my office. I literally packed everything up in my car, drove out here, and it was not working fine when I first set it up. But again, easy enough to factory reset and go through the setup wizard again. So now that I'm reconnected, let's go ahead and run a speed test through the LTE. Again, if you remember, my phone speed test got about 4.7 megabits up and down using just the LTE from my iPhone 13. All right, and it actually did load fairly slowly, so let's see how this speed test goes. Maybe I'm still going to get about 5 megabits from this location. All right, so much better through the Insty Connect. So it looks like download of 19.8 and upload of 8.8 versus my phone's LTE directly, which got me 4.7 by 4.7. Let me now connect my phone to the Insty Connect wireless network and see what kind of speeds I can get there. All right, and so from my cell phone, we got about 18.8 by 12. So 18.8 down by 12 up, which is actually a lot better than the cell phone connecting to LTE directly. Okay, now that I have the Angel Wings antenna connected and it seems to be giving some pretty decent speeds, we now want to try out the Binoculars antenna instead. Now the Binoculars antenna is meant to point in the general direction, or preferably directly at whatever cell phone tower is closest to you so that you can achieve the best signal. But how do you know what cell phone tower might be closest to you? Well, let's take a look at the interface. Here we can see that the tower that I'm connected to is tower 360, and it says cell mapper 330327. So cellmapper.net is a website. It's kind of an open source website that maps cell towers, right? So if I bring up Cellmapper, I can find this exact tower. This is 330327 right here. And if I click on the tower, it gives us information about sort of where its coverage area is. Now this green line that you see going right up and down the center of my screen here, that is Interstate 5. There are a number of cell towers. If we go back to the Insty Connect and we do the tower/band lock wizard, we can see another tower here, tower 360. So I could lock to a different tower if I wanted to, but the speeds are much better with tower 361, which is Cellmapper tower 330327. So that tower is actually located right across the street from where I am, right across the highway from where I am. So my next thing that I'm going to do is I am going to swap out the Angel Wings antenna for the Binoculars antenna, and then we will go from there. Okay, Binoculars antenna is in place and I have pointed it right through the trees at the cell tower. I was actually able to spot it, so I know that it's pointed directly at that tower. Here is the new signal strength that we can see with the Binoculars antenna. And keep in mind, I'm probably only, I'm less than a quarter mile away from this LTE tower. So I imagine that the Binoculars antenna makes a lot more difference when you're further away from any LTE signal versus me being basically right across the freeway from one. But regardless, let's go ahead and run our speed test and see if we see any improvements. The last speed test was 19.8 by 8.87. We're going to say go. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, look at that. So we got almost double the speeds from the Angel Wings antenna with the Binoculars antenna pointed directly at that LTE tower. That's actually pretty impressive. So what I really like about this solution is for folks who are, living the sort of nomadic lifestyle, living in an RV or camping a lot, spending a lot of time away from a fixed home and needing this kind of internet access. This product really gives you the tools that you need to fine-tune your internet experience. And it does that because the guy who created this product, spends a lot of time in his RV, right? And he was not happy with the existing products that were on the market, so he started creating his own. Now, again, this is a smaller company. A lot of the pieces of the, the antennas and whatnot are 3D printed, so he's just getting this thing going. But I really like what I'm seeing so far, and the proof is in the pudding as far as the results go. You can see that, with the Angel Wings antenna, I was getting about 18 megabits per second. Now I'm getting double that with the Binoculars antenna. So that's really, really impressive performance. And if you're someone who lives on the road and is very dependent on your internet, having that level of granular control over the signal that you're receiving is super, super important. All right, the next thing I need to do is pack all of this back up and get back home because, man, it is cold out here. I think it's about 31 degrees outside, and so I've been freezing my butt off. I am ready to be done with this testing. So if you are interested in purchasing any of the products that I have featured in this video, I have links down in the description to everything that I showed right here. And also, if you're interested in some of Crosstalk's SIM card capabilities, make sure you contact us at info@crosstalksolutions.com to get some information about our unlimited SIM plans. All right, if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you give me a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more videos like this, please click subscribe. My name's Chris with Crosstalk Solutions, and thank you so much for watching.